peace is said to come from heaven. However, Tai is solely to blame for the recent eruption of a new storm in Hawaii. There have been rumors that Tai revealed Evelyn's true intentions in a shocking revelation. The family is currently in a state of shock. There are rumors circulating that, in private, Tai accused Evelyn of siding with Chantel and snooping on her while posing as a friend. Evelyn's world was completely upended, and she was rendered completely speechless by the swaying palms. Emotions were running high. The news that Evelyn, who is often so composed, was compelled to make an impromptu apology to Brandi that seemed more like damage control than sincere regret startled fans. Would the close-knit group eventually fall apart as a result of this shocking revelation? Or will Evelyn's hasty apology be sufficient to bridge the gap? Do the stakes increase with each fresh accusation? Is Tai agitating for a front-row ticket to mayhem, or is he pursuing justice for Chantel? Keep checking back as we reveal the layers of this drama that is developing, because nothing in paradise is ever as peaceful as it appears. Furthermore, this may be the largest betrayal the BBWLA has ever witnessed. Tai's eyes were focused on Evelyn as he spoke, his voice piercing the tropical breeze like a thunderclap. Under the pretense of camaraderie, he said, arms crossed and palms swaying overhead. So, you've been playing both sides, Evelyn. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat, the vibrant Hawaiian sun suddenly feeling too harsh. She opened her mouth, searching for a retort, but the accusation lodged like a stone. Around them, the rest of the group exchanged bewildered glances. Sensing the tension, Spike Dot. Brittany, who had been lounging nearby, shot to her feet. Tai, what are you discussing? Denise told me. You've been asking Chantel personal questions, trying to dig up dirt while pretending to be genuine. Her voice trembled with a mixture of amazement and outrage, and her eyes danced between Tai and Evelyn, wondering which side she should defend. Tai's jaw tightened. Evelyn's cheeks flushed as she turned to face Chantel, who was standing motionless a few feet away. Chantel's face was unreadable, but her eyes glistened with pain, making it obvious that the rumor had broken her trust. Brittany, ever the mediator, stepped forward. His tone was low, but every word carried the weight of betrayal. Is this true, Evelyn? She asked in a cautious tone. Evelyn swallowed hard and looked at each friend in turn. I wasn't digging for dirt, she finally whispered. I was worried about Chantel. After everything with Denise, I wanted to make sure she was okay. Tai scoffed. You crossed a line. You made assumptions instead of talking like an adult. You made Denise think you had an agenda. He paced a few steps, gesturing with his arms. Evelyn's face flashed with shock. Denise never told me anything. Why would I assume? She protested, her voice shaking. Because she's your friend and she heard rumors about you. Tai fired back. So instead of clearing it up, you fueled it. There was a heavy silence. Claire, whispering to Brittany from the sidelines, said, I didn't see this coming. The group felt the weight of the layers coming apart, the relationships they had formed now under suspicion. Brittany nodded, worry written on her brow. The waves of the ocean broke somewhere beyond the palm trees. Why would Denise accuse her without speaking first? Evelyn clenched her fists, pain and frustration swirling. She had traveled across the world to escape the drama of law, only to be blindsided by whispers she hadn't even known existed. It was a reminder of the paradise that had suddenly turned into a stage for betrayal. I apologize for the misunderstanding, she thought, taking a deep breath before looking directly into Tai's eyes. I'm sorry, she whispered softly, her words echoing oddly in the humid air. I never intended to go too far because I care about Chantel. With brittle and shaky ties, the apology hung in the wind. For a brief moment, his expression softened, and then he crossed his arms once again. He whispered, Sorry isn't enough. The others murmured in agreement. You owe more than empty words. Fans are shocked. One could say that since the family was split up, feelings were running high. Brittany tightened her jaw behind Tai, divided between resentment of the concealment that had stoked these suspicions and loyalty to Evelyn. Uncertainty flickered in her eyes as she stepped back. At last, Chantel spoke, steady but quiet voice. "I trusted you, Evelyn. You could have approached me immediately if you were worried." Her remarks were like a slap to Evelyn. Evelyn understood then just how brittle trust really was. More painful than any charge was hearing Chantel's disappointment. Her voice shaking, she lowered her head and said, "You're correct." Chantel's eyes filled with emotion. "Should have spoken to you first. I was afraid and went to Denise instead of you. I'm sorry." Both relief and pain. Was this apology sufficient to mend the rift, even though it felt more genuine and honest? Ty kept his arms folded as he observed this conversation. Brittany took a breath and thought about the consequences. Fans are taken aback. Feelings were running high. The family was split apart. More disclosures were to follow. However, the drone of a camera attracted everyone's attention before they could react. A member of the production crew pointed them in the direction of a new spot, a remote cove, where the next task was waiting. Tension was high as the group moved together, Evelyn and Chanel's silent apology still lingering as they strolled along the beach walkway. Evelyn found it difficult to control her pounding heart. Her genuineness seemed to be put to the test with every step. Would Chantel ever be trusted again? Was Ty happy that his bombshell had been acknowledged? For these companions, laughter seemed far away, yet the ocean tempted them with laughter in the distance. Seeing an opening, Ty drew Brittany away. The hushed words, "This apology was strategic." Brittany paused before asking, "Can we really believe it was genuine? Would an apology under such circumstances be sincere?" She gets a nod from doubts. Evelyn followed, listening in on their conversation. Her heart fell. She was alone in a paradise that felt like a trap all of a sudden. She was roiling with doubt and regret. She needed to demonstrate that her concern for Chantel went beyond making dramatic headlines. She saw Brandi waiting at the water's edge as she got closer to the cove, recording with a phone in hand. Bry's lips were squeezed hard, and his face looked unreadable. Evelyn felt a knot in her stomach. She still hadn't told Brandi that she was sorry for being so chilly in Vegas. Ty recognizes the opportunity. "Let's talk to Brandi too, Evelyn," he replied. With interest shining in her eyes, Brandi stepped forward and tilted her head. Evelyn dreaded an apology broadcast in front of onlookers at this point. Would she have the guts? She took a breath, moved to stand next to Brandi, and talked into Bry's camera. "I'm sorry, Brandi, for being so critical in Vegas and for not expressing my appreciation. I regret my reaction and cherish our connection." Her voice faltered, but her genuineness was evident as she looked directly into Bry's eyes. After examining her for a heartbeat, Brandi gave her a small nod. Every moment of emotion was captured by the camera. The question was still there even after the apologies. Would it repair the damaged ties, or would it only postpone the next detonation? Long shadows were produced on the sand by the sun's descent. The remainder of the drama was set up to play out. There are secrets simmering beneath the surface, just waiting to be revealed. Ocean waves in the distance kept up their steady cheering, as though they were waiting for the next surprise. As the company gathered around the woven table filled with steaming Kahlua pig and poi, Ty's cunning smile remained in the flickering torchlight. The sea air mixed with the aroma of grilled pork, producing a false sense of tranquility. Chantel looked at Evelyn and reached for a dish. She whispered, "I suppose we're actually doing this." Evelyn pushed her hair behind her ear and nodded. "I mean it," she muttered in response. Her voice trembling showed her nerves, but she was determined to keep them safe. Denise and Brittany started putting plates together, throwing slices of fresh pineapple into bowls. Lifting a coconut shell filled with sweet tea, Claire made a toast. Quietly, "To new beginnings," she said. A tentative truce represented by a cracked coconut was indicated by the group's clinking of shells. However, Ty's camera lingered, catching every detail. Fans are taken aback. It felt like a premonition as he said into his phone, "Watch as friendships simmer and boil in paradise." Evelyn inhaled deeply before speaking. She said, "I know apologies only go so far," in a voice that was just slightly muffled by the flames. "I therefore want to convey something genuine tonight." Curiosity softened their fatigue as the others paused. Brittany leaned closer. Her words, "We're listening," were encouraging. Evelyn nodded and went on. When Chantel told me about how hurt she felt, it reminded me of being let down by people I trusted most. I've carried that pain for years. She looked at Chantel, and her face softened. Chantel put her fork down. Her voice caught as she added, "I didn't realize." The vulnerability of the disclosure sat between them. Denise talked to each other. A glimpse of Brittany. Her expression was one of surprise. Ty's camera focused on Chantel's response. Her understanding was evident from the tiny tremor at the corner of her mouth. Shan went on to say, "This isn't just about gossip. It has to do with trust. No beach. Challenge or luau can mend it once it's broken. Able to solve it." Evelyn swallowed hard and nodded. "I am prepared to regain that trust because I am aware of it. No shortcuts." As everyone struggled with their own experiences of betrayal, the high gathering became silent. Reaching across the table, Claire covered Evelyn's hand with hers. Softly, "We all screw up," she remarked. "However, confronting it head-on is crucial. Let's discuss, not hide, tonight." As they exchanged plates and shared, the flicker of torch, light reflected in everyone's eyes as though it were lighting their concerns. Bite-sized morsels of laughter erupted. Denise related an incident from a previous hula class. Even Ty giggled softly as Brittany added an anecdote about a miscast ukulele chord. Through storytelling and shared food, the atmosphere relaxed and changed. The aftershocks of the morning's bombshells, however, continued to pulse abruptly beneath. The grins. As ashes danced into the night sky, a burst of wind blew across the area. Ty grabbed the opportunity. "Speaking of secrets," he started out, "boys are laid back. I heard a rumor concerning Evo's phone. Was it mentioned by anyone?" There was confusion among the bunch. Evelyn felt her heart thump. "My phone," she said once more. "What rumor?" Ty held up his smartphone, his eyes gleaming. Caillou emailed Brandi behind her back, accusing her of being toxic and moaning that she wasn't encouraging. Even a hush dropped. Bry's smile vanished as her fork froze in midair. Evelyn's cheeks were burning. "I never would," she stumbled. Bry's face grew stern. "Did you say that I was toxic?" With a quivering voice, she demanded. Denise's chair scraped the sand as she suddenly stood up. "Hold on. Whence did this originate?" Brittany's hands were trembling. "Are you certain, Ty?" Ty gave the screen a tap. "I have screen grabs. You cursed at Brandi, accused her of pursuing attention." Claire covered her mouth in a gasp. Evelyn felt her heart race. "Not true," she insisted, her eyes welling with tears. Chantel's face furrowed as she turned from Ty to Evelyn, saying, "Someone must have doctored it." She whispered, "Why would you text that?" Evelyn's throat grew constricted. She looked at Brittany, who shook her head in a tiny, painful way. Brandi crossed her arms. She added softly, "I thought we were moving forward. I'm not sure what to believe now, though." Doubt was back, heavier than ever, and the light from the ember wavered. Ty put his phone down, enjoying the moment. Shouting, "Fans are shocked," he said. "Allow," roared from the cliffs as the gathering took in the accusation. News travels fast when drama is on the menu. Maybe a storm is coming, or it's just the sound of their broken oneness. Ty got up and spoke. "Clarity is necessary." "Show us the texts, Evelyn." Evelyn's fingers shook as she pulled out her phone in the light of the torch. Apps were arranged nicely on her black screen. With a hint of dread in her voice, she stated, "I don't have those messages." Brittany made contact. She begged to be let to breathe. Denise interrupted in a forceful voice. "Show Ty the evidence if you have it. If not, however, we terminate this immediately." Swiping through his pictures, Ty grinned. The seed of skepticism is sown, proof or not. Tears came to Bry's eyes. "Why would you harm me in this way?" she muttered. Evelyn stepped forward shakily. "I promise I didn't send those texts. Someone is trying to trick us." Chantel looked at Ty. And you're only going to incite more drama with that? With steely gaze, Ty shrugged. Without twists, what would TV be? Tension rose as the bonfire crackled. Chantel's phone buzzed in her pocket out of nowhere. Her eyes grew wide when she checked it. This message was sent by a burner account posing as me. A screenshot of Evelyn's purported text message sent from an anonymous number was displayed on her screen. Chantel came to the conclusion that Evelyn was being framed. Firm voice in spite of the shock. They also want to see us burn. There was a startled quiet for a moment. Brandi wiped away her tears. So maybe she's telling the truth, Brittany said in a quiet voice. Denise's jaw tightened as she considered the prospect. For a brief while, Ty's smile wavered. He retorted, "Or is this another layer of the game?" The family was split between distrust and the desire for vindication as emotions ran high. The surprising twist shocks the fans. Now the rumors are getting out of hand. A mixture of relief and fear squeezed Evelyn's chest. "We need answers," she stated firmly. "Let's locate someone who wants mayhem." Brittany nodded, her resolve evident in her concern. Sand flew from Chantel's shorts. "We start by determining where those texts came from." Clara's head cocked. "Second, we determine whether we can still rely on one another." Under the torchlight, the group snuggled together, bound by the storm that broke overhead was a usual cause. On the palm fronds, the rain patters like applause. The drama was waiting to be written in its next chapter. As the rain seeped through the palm fronds, Ty's grin persisted. The group's strained faces were covered in droplets. Chantel looked at Evelyn as she pocketed her phone. The steady patter of rain against the tiki torches was the only sound for a minute. Brittany then cleared her throat in a quiet but resolute voice. "We must identify the person responsible for this burner account." "We can't trust anyone if they're playing Puppet Master," she remarked. Evelyn nodded, her hair stuck to her forehead. She said in a firm voice, "Let's divide up and trace the signals," notwithstanding her heart pounding. Denise looked doubtfully. All around the circle. "We have one hint." She reminded them that the screenshot originated from an anonymous number. "We require technical assistance." Claire's eyebrow went up. Quietly, she said, "I know a local hacker from LA who's on vacation. Here. We might be able to track down the IP address if we can gain his assistance." Ty's eyes glowed. He whispered, "Now that's a twist," and moved toward Evelyn. Detective BB is becoming more and more involved in this inquiry. Bollier. Although his tone was lighthearted, there was a profound undertone of distrust. Chantel folded, her arms without hesitation. Her words, "We don't have time for theatrics." Claire took out her laptop and turned it on within the temporary shelter of a big palapa tent. "We need answers before more rumors spread." Evelyn paced close by, keys clacking as she dialed the hacker's number, remembering every conversation from the previous 24 hours. Who was motivated to set her up? From their Discord, who benefited? Brittany and Chantel watched over Claire's shoulder as her screen came to life. The hacker's avatar appeared with a blink. He verified that he could track down the sender of the forwarded mail in a matter of minutes. Outside, tension grew as the rain grew heavier. In the distance, there is thunder. Claire said, "I've got something." The IP address points to the Wi-Fi network of a nearby resort. The assembly erupted in gasps. Ty pulled his phone out. "It's where we stayed last night," he replied. "The luau party." Shanto pursed his brow. "Does anyone here work for the resort or have access to the band's network?" Denise frowned. Or perhaps it was a visitor who had too much free time. Brittany bit her lip. "We must put it down." Analyzing the resort's guest list was the hacker's recommendation. Claire scowled. "That's not what we have," she said. "We need management's assistance." Evelyn's heartbeat accelerated. She paused. She offered to let me speak with the resort manager. He and I did get along during check-in. Chantel gave her a questioning glance. "And you believe he will assist?" Evelyn inhaled deeply. "I'm hoping so." Ty's eyebrow went up. He teased, "Redeemation by smooth talking." "Proceed, Miss Be a Diplomat." Evelyn's shoulders went square. Slipping out from under the palapa and into the rain, she said, "Go now." Brittany came next. "Come on, too," she added. "This shouldn't be done by you alone." Raindrops streaked the wood floor as they sprinted into the main cabin. The manager was behind a reception desk inside. The walls are lined with Polaroids from past beach volleyball competitions. Evelyn came over in a courteous tone. "Pardon me, I need your assistance with a security issue," she said, merely mentioning that it concerned cyberbullying through the resort's network. The manager scowled. "Cyberbullying?" he reiterated. "Have you informed our security team about this?" Evelyn shook her head, saying, "Not just yet. First, I wanted to see if we could figure out where it came from. I can pull connection logs for the date and time you specify," he said, nodding after a tense minute of tapping on his tablet with knotted brows. Evelyn's breath caught when he read the MAC address linked to guest room 12, which was occupied by a woman named Marina Thomas. Marina Thomas was the actress who had previously filmed a cameo with them at the beach. Her character, a TV influencer, had been watching nervously as he flipped through pages. "Found it," he said, reading an identifier aloud. The group needed proof. The manager printed the log sheet. Evelyn thanked him, her heart racing, as she and Brittany ran back into the rain. The palapa was empty when they returned. Ty, Denise, and Claire huddled around Claire's laptop. Ty's phone recorded the reunion. Chantel had briefly interacted with her. Now it appeared Marina had both access and motive, possibly to generate drama for her own content. With great anticipation, he inquired. Evelyn raised the sheet. Marina Thomas, guest room 12. Denise folded her arms. Chantel narrowed her eyes and said, "Let's confront her. Let's confront her." The crew sped to the villa cluster, and Marina came out of her door with her phone in hand. "Ladies, guys, what's happening?" The influencer was filming us for her channel, and she staged it to raise the possibility of outrage. Brittany said, her tone was one of shock. "We know you used the resort's Wi-Fi to frame Evelyn," she said, pretending to be innocent. Chantel then came forward with a cold voice. She made the accusation. "I have no idea what you're talking about," Marina said, her smile wavering. Ty's camera recorded every flicker of discomfort on her face. Brittany held up the printout. "You want to explain?" Denise gasped. "I didn't send those texts, but I saw someone tampering with your phones backstage at the Luau Collective." Chance of answer her rising from the group. Dr. Marlena's single quotations calm snapped. She shoved the phone in her pocket. "Spine," she murmured. "So, it wasn't you?" Chantel asked. Marina shook her head. "No, but I know who did it." She swallowed. Hard. It was Grace Kim. The confusion spread. Grace Kim was the resort's assistant activities director. She was helpful and always present. She had joined the group for the waterfall rappel and filmed them doing coconut bowling. "Why would Grace do that?" Brittany asked incredulously. Marina took a shaky breath. "I saw her slip something into your bag at the welcome party," she said, in a low voice. "A burner SIM was taped inside your bag, which I later discovered to be either sunscreen or a snack." Evelyn's mind was racing, so she planted the SIM to send false messages to keep the drama going so she could film our meltdown and increase the resort's ratings. Denise ran a hand through her hair. "This is crazy." Ty turned off his camera. The drama had escalated to a new level. It wasn't influencer sabotage, but insider manipulation. The rain subsided to a drizzle, and there was silence until Grace Kim arrived, breathless, her hair damp and frosted by mist. Claire blocked her way. She continued, "You need answers." Grace's eyes widened, and she started to reply, "Swear I didn't." But Brittany interrupted. Marina replies, "You put a burner SIM in Evelyn's bag." Goodbye. "I wanted to test the group's unity," Grace admitted, her face crushed as tears mixed with rain. "We film these challenges and post them on social media," she said. "Clicks are driven by controversy. I believed our ratings would soar if I created tension." Chantel's voice shook with rage as shock shook the circle. "I'm sorry it got out of hand. You tried to destroy our trust for views." Grace nodded, her shoulders shaking. Evelyn stared at Grace, the betrayal burning. The resort staff watched in disbelief from a distance. Ty raised his camera again. "Fans are shocked," he said. The family was left feeling torn between anger and forgiveness. Denise stepped forward. "What do you want from us?" Grace looked up, regret in her eyes. Defeated. Evelyn's chest clenched. The rain had stopped, leaving a stillness in paradise. She looked at Chantel, Brittany, Denise, Claire, and Ty. Truth came out. "I'll remove everything. Delete the tape. I'll retire." She sighed. With the flicker of torchlight bouncing off damp leaves, the group closed in and said, "Now we decide what to do with it." The rain grew more intense as they got ready to face the last act of this twisted drama. Beating frantically on the palm leaves as Chantel huddled beneath the palpa's edge, Brittany, Claire, Denise, and Evelyn looked at Claire's laptop screen. The menacing text came back. "Do you believe this is the end of it? Rethink your thought." At first, they all remained motionless as the weight of that message pressed down on them like the humid air. Brittany leaned forward, her damp hair stuck to her cheeks, while Chantel whispered, "Trace this number. Let's find out who's still pulling strings." At last, her fingers lingered over the keyboard. Her words, "We need answers now," were important. Evelyn felt her heart race. Every beat reflected every betrayal they had endured. Thunder rolled outside, as if the island itself were alerting them to the impending storm. Claire typed frantically, her glasses reflecting the lines of code. Denise crossed her arms, gritted her jaw, and paced behind. Despite the anxiety, Brittany's voice remained steady as she whispered encouragements. Claire let out a breath after what seemed like a lifetime. As she clicked through the results, she declared, "I got a location. It is emanating from the maintenance sheds located approximately half a mile south of the ancient lighthouse." Through them went a collective shudder. According to rumors, the abandoned lighthouse route was haunted and ideal for a secret gathering. Chantel's tone hardened with purpose as she continued, "Let's go." They ran headlong into the rain without hesitation. Water trickled from banana leaves across their faces as the muddy road wound through dense forest, with torches bobbing like willow and wisps in the night. Chantel grabbed Brittany's arm after she stumbled once. "You okay?" she said quietly. Brittany wiped the wetness from her lashes and nodded. "It was just nervous," she said. Evelyn tightened her jacket, remembering the expression in Grace's eyes, and said, "This could be whoever wants to tear us apart for good." Moments prior, and the potential for someone else to have much more sinister intentions. As they reached the top of a tiny hill and caught sight of the lighthouse's silhouette, the thunder roared once again, peeling white paint beneath the stormy sky. Next to it, a group of sheds stood out like skeletal remains. Leading the route, Denise pressed her ear to the door of the first shed. Through fissures came a faint glimmer and the sound of frantic, low voices. She halted, then turned around. She muttered, "We'll divide into two groups. Chantel, you're with me. Brittany, you and Evelyn flank. The other side." Claire paused. "And you?" she inquired. Denise nodded reassuringly at her. "I'll stay here. Monitor comes on the laptop. Any sign of trouble, we pull back. The plan set." They slipped away, mud squatching underfoot, ahead. Brittany pushed one jar at a time, and the doors creaked. Crates, coiled cables, and two people bent over a laptop were visible inside in the weak lantern light. Evelyn gasped with surprise. There was a familiar silhouette. The other stepped into the light of the lantern. Shouting, "That's it can't be," she said. Chantel and Denise rushed in. Chantel's gaze grew strained. "Riley!" she cried out. The young production assistant held her laptop to her chest as she froze. A tall woman with a hood over her face turned next to her. Evelyn and Brittany hurried in from the opposite side. "Who is she?" demanded Evelyn. Riley glanced back and forth between them. "Please listen," she said in a shaky voice. The hooded woman stepped closer, her features visible in the lantern light, and said, "I didn't want to hurt anyone." It was Chantel's cousin Kiki, who was presumably on maternity leave back home. The shed reverberated with gasps. Tears and rain were streaking Kiki's cheeks. "I apologize. They forced me to do it even though she choked out." Chantel's complexion turned pallid. "Who?" Who created you? Kiki took a deep breath. The producers of the network. They endangered the safety of my family and my job. They threatened to cut me off if I didn't continue the charade. I put that burner sim in Evelyn's bag, fed them secrets, and transmitted the messages. However, it was insufficient. They desired more. Brittany's fists clenched. She added, "You betrayed all of us," in a trembling voice. Kiki fell to the ground. "I had no choice," she said in a low voice. "Please," Denise said, uncrossed his arms and stepped forward. "There's always an option," she stated firmly. "However, we now have choices to make." Chantel was crying as she knelt next to her cousin. She cried, "I trusted you." Kiki extended her arm and took Chantel's hand. She repeated in a shaky voice, "I'm so sorry." The crash of thunder outside seemed to punctuate every emotion. A handheld radio crackled Claire's voice. "Another message is here. The Lagoon Cove was the new location." Brittany reached for her cell phone. "The target is being moved. They wish to live stream our response." Evelyn and Chantel looked at each other. The creators weren't finished yet, without saying anything. They also assisted Kiki. She was led out of the shed by her feet. As they made their way back to the Lagoon Coveware torches that had been placed up to light the water's edge, the rain had subsided to a mist. Lenses pointed like ravenous eyes, cameras were positioned. Familiar faces took the place of the hooded crew members from before. The head cameraman, the show's director, and the costumed extras disappear into the background. Under a tarp, the producers came out, bright beams shining on their faces. The director shouted out, "Welcome back, ladies," in a falsely cheerful voice. "We believed you would enjoy the last chapter." With her fist clenched, Chantel took a step forward. "This ends now," she said. The filmmaker's grin wavered. He held up a hand and murmured, "Let's not be hasty," Brittany sneered. "You owe them a show. We have an audience waiting." Denise joined Chantel in the front, saying, "We owe them honesty, not more lies." The top cameraman aimed his camera toward Kiki and said, "We're done being your pawns." "How about her?" he inquired. "She also has a role in the narrative." Kiki and the team were separated by Evelyn, who shoved past them. "No," she firmly said. "She is a member of the family. They forced her to do it. And you created tension by playing on her fear." The lanterns flickered and thunder rolled one last time. A dot. Kiki spoke up in that tense time, her voice calm in spite of her tears. She declared, "I'm done hiding. I will reveal the truth to the world." As the production lights buzzed to life, she lifted her chin and turned to face Evan, the flashing bulb. After a moment of hesitation, the head photographer lowered his camera. He answered, "If that's what you want," flat voice. The staff and extras then dispersed into the night. After exchanging looks, the producers hid under their tarp. Dachel gathered her relatives, and the only sound in the Lagoon Cove was the soft lap of the waves. Denise put her arm around Claire's shoulders while Brittany stood by Evelyn. They formed a circle beneath the starless sky, wounded but unbroken. They had regained their story and were no longer puppets of the network. The final traces of manufactured goods were carried away by the sound of distant waves somewhere outside the cove.